Andariki namaskaramlu. Today is 26th July 2023 and we are on advanced level course on certificate course on Sanatana Dharma. It is a 3 months course. It is for the people who have successfully completed the basic course. That is also a 3 months course covering all basic subjects. Now we are going little deep into the subject, and all those people who have shown their sincere efforts to follow Sanatana Dharma have been filtered and given admission into this course. So now we have already finished some subjects like Vedas, Vedangas, Upanishads, Darshanas. Now we are on Dharma Shastram. And in this 3 days sessions, 2 days are already over. It is being taken by Sri Nithin Sridhar ji. Now we will start the session with Vande Mataram and Prarthana. After that, we will request Sridhar ji to continue the webinar. So let us request Challa Chittibabu Garu to recite Vande Mataram.
Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Sujalam, Subalam, Malaya Jasi Salam, Sasya Syamalam Mataram, Vande Mataram, Supratyosna Pulakitayamini, Pullakusumita Drumadala Shobhini, Suvasini, Madhura Bhashini, Sukhadam Varadam Mataram, Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram.
ధన్యవాదములండి చల్లా చిట్టిబాబు గారు. Now let us request Ananthan garu to chant Prarthana, please.
Namasarvebhyah. 1 minute meditation. Let us close our eyes. Relax body. Total concentration on breath. Without any interference. Visualize your body Trivaram Omkaram. Om. Gananantva Ganapatigum Havamahe Kavin Kavinamupamashravastamam Jashtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashranvannoti Dasadanam Mahaganapataye Namaha Prano Devi Saraswati Vaje Birvajinivati धीनामवित्र्यवतु वाग्देव्यै नमः गुरुरेव गतिर्गुरुमेव भजे गुरुणैव सहास्मि नमो गुरवे न गुरो परमं शिशुरस्मि गुरोः मतिरस्ति गुरौ मम पाहि गुरो ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां हयग्रीवमुपास्महे श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ
ధన్యవాదములండి అనంతన్ గారు. Now let us request Sridhar ji to take over.
Namaste everyone. Shubhodaya. Let me begin with a prayer. Vakratunda Mahakaya Koti Surya Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavatyapta Dehaya Shri Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Bharati Karuna Patram Bharati Padabhushanam Bharati Padamarudham Bharati Tirthamashraye Vidya Vinaya Sampannam Vitaragam Vivekinam Vande Vedanta Tattvagam Vidushekara Bharati Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. In last two sessions, we saw a definition of Dharma, and in yesterday's session, we saw some aspects about the content or the subject matter of Dharma Shastra. But what we saw yesterday was basically an introduction to what all things to look at when we are studying Dharma Shastra rather than the subject matter itself. So in this session, I want to focus on some introduction into the subject matter itself. And maybe today's session will take a little bit longer time. I will try to finish by 8, but it may take a little bit more time, so please bear with me. If you look at this content of the Dharma Shastra, yesterday I mentioned about Achara, Vyavahara and Prayashchitta. And I may also mention that Achara is the core of Dharma Shastra because Achara is about our personal practice, our individual practice, Dharma as is applicable to each of us. So when we say Dharma as is applicable to each of us, then we have to understand that Dharma is not same for everybody. That is why the notion of Swadharma and Paradharma that Gita speaks about. Gita says, it is better to die while performing your own dharma, your swadharma, rather than to perform somebody else's dharma, which is paradharma. So we will look at what this swadharma is and some of the tenets of this dharma that the Dharma Shastras speak about. And I will start the session and I'll share some slides for you to see. Just a second. Is this visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay. First, a bit about the types of karma or types of action itself. We have different classification of actions, different ways of looking at karma basically. One of the ways we have discussed is Vihita karma and Nishiddha karma. Basically, Vihita means actions permitted or prescribed by the Shastras, and Nishiddha karmas are actions which are prohibited by Shastras. So, Vihita karma is a dharma, Nishiddha karmas are adharma. So, among these Vihita karmas, there can be, we can classify them further into three types: Nitya karma, Naimittika karma, Kamya karma. We also touched upon this. Nitya karma is fixed and obligatory actions that are compulsory to be performed by those for whom it is obligatory. For example, for those who have had Upanayana, Sandhya Vandana performance is an obligatory ritual. Naimittika karma is basically occasional rituals that are to be performed in a given occasion. Like the text speak about certain sacrifice to be done, certain yajna to be done on a birth of a child, for example, or the samskaras that we do at particular stages in life. Now, then there is third category called Kamya karma. There are basically elective actions that is based on the desire of the yajamana, the desire of the performer. So, for example, the Veda speaks about a yajna called Chaitra yajna. If to be performed if one desires cattle. So these are the types of one type of understanding karma, that is Vihita karmas, Nitya, Naimittika and Kamya. There is another way of classifying karma. This is Sanchita, Prarabdha and Agami. You are all already aware of it. I also mentioned the day before about how whatever actions we do, the punya and papa, they become stored in us and they become stored as sanchita karma. They become stored in us in our karana sharira as sanchita karma. So basically sanchita karma is a sum total of all our past actions, right? All our past actions. It constitutes the karana sharira, and when a particular portion of that sanchita karma is ready to give fruit, ready to fructify, then it gives rise to a jiva to take on sukshma and stula sharira, that is, take on the current birth. And then that portion of sanchita karma, which is called as prarabdha karma, it gives rise to birth and it results in a particular person to experience the fruits of his actions in that birth through his body, mind and speech. So prarabdha karma is a part of the sanchita karma which is currently giving his results in this particular birth. Agami karma basically are the actions which we perform here and now through our free will and whose result will come in the future. It may be future years of this life itself, or it would be future lives. So the exertion of free will here and now is what is agami karma. Is my volume low? Are you not able to hear me properly?
We are hearing you clearly.
Okay. Okay. So moving on. these are the type of karma. We can also understand dharma, classify dharma in a different ways. I already spoke about Swadharma and Paradharma, and there are other ways to classify, for example, Pravritti Dharma and Nivritti Dharma. Bhagwan Bhashyakara Sri Shankaracharya, in his commentary on, in his introduction to Bhagavad Gita Bhashya, he speaks about dharma in the, as divided into Pravritti Dharma and Nivritti Dharma. Basically, Pravritti Dharma is the dharma of the Grihastha. It is dharma, it is the path of pursuing worldly desires, path of karma, artha, kama, and dharma, pursuit of artha, kama, and dharma within the, with an orientation towards moksha. Whereas Nivritti Dharma is the path of sannyasa, is the path of renunciation. It is a singular pursuit of the moksha. Now, what we will be focusing on this session will be Samanya Dharma and Vishesha Dharma. Why? Because when we speak of Swadharma, that is dharma as applicable to an individual, it is a combination of Samanya Dharma and Vishesha Dharma. Samanya Dharma is, as the name says, is Samanya. It is common for everybody. It is actually reference to universal ethical principles that are applicable to each and every person on the planet, irrespective of their place, location, time, gender, nationality, religion, ethnicity, whatever classification. So this is a, so this Samanya Dharma element is common for everybody. But what differentiates one's Swadharma from Paradharma, that is one's own dharma from another dharma, is the Vishesha Dharma. So Vishesha Dharma is a specialized dharma. It is a tailor-made dharma. It is duties and obligations that are unique to an individual depending upon various factors such as kala, time, desha, place, varna, one's ritual state, which is determined based on one's birth, one's guna, one's karma, and many other factors. Ashrama, which is a station or a stage of life. So most of, so this is Vishesha Dharma. And when you study Dharma Shastra, the Vishesha Dharma is usually given, though it is very, very varied in its, there are different ways, as I said, Kala, Desha and all. But in most important aspect of it is Varnashrama Dharma, and in Dharma Shastras always orient themselves from the perspective of Varnashrama. Now we will look at this Swadharma, that is Samanya Dharma and Vishesha Dharma, both of them in some detail, not too much, but we will touch upon them. Now, one point that needs to be understood here with respect to Swadharma, Samanya Dharma is, I mentioned that Samanya Dharma is a, what should I say, ethical principles. There are ethical values. For example, in Taittiriya Upanishad, it speaks about Satyam Vada Dharmam Chara, Swadhyayatma Pramadaha. So basically, Taittiriya Upanishad is saying, speak the truth, do your dharma, never deviate from your study of Veda, do not cut off the thread of offsprings after giving the preceptor the fee, that is, do not stay unmarried, get married and have children. So these are all very general tenets, ethical tenets that are applicable to everybody. But nowadays, there is a notion that ethics is optional. Ethics is our choice. If you are living an ethical life, good for you. But there is no, it is understood sometimes as something which is optional. That is, there is no real life consequences of living a unethical life. I mean, they say you should not be criminal because that being criminal has a legal consequences, but being unethical, like say cheating somebody or doing some small things, like we all might have done in our younger ages. When we go to a store, we give some money and the store owner by mistake returns more change than is required. He's supposed to return 10 rupees, but he by mistakenly returns 30 rupees. We notice that he has returned 30 rupees, but we don't say anything. We just pocket it as a profit. So this is a very, very innocent example of unethical behavior. We think that such behavior has no consequences, has no effect, but that is not what the view of the Hindu Dharma is. That is not what the view of the Shastra is. Because in Taittiriya Upanishad, when Shankaracharya comments on this aspect of speak truth, do your duty, which is a Samanya Dharma, he mentions, he says that the instruction beginning with the preceptor after the teaching, etc., is to inculcate before the acquisition of the knowledge of Brahman, the performance of duties enjoined by the Vedas and Smritis is compulsory. For the Vedic text which enjoins it intends the purification of the man, for it is he whose nature is purified that soon obtains the knowledge of Atman. And he further says the penance, he further says that the result from the violation of the command I think there is some mix up here. Okay. Anyways, he says that the prescribed duties ought to be performed for the acquisition of knowledge. So he's again very clearly, he mentions that what is mentioned in the Shastra as Samanya Dharma, that is speaking truth and etc., they are to be performed, they are enjoined, they are compulsory, because they are to be performed for the purification of a person. So it is not an option, it is a compulsory thing, it is an obligatory thing. So being an obligatory thing and violation of it leads to papa. So that is what these ethical principles are about, that if you say the Shastra says speak truth is a dharma. So if you are violating it by speaking falsehood, then that constitutes adharma. So there is a papa, there is a karmic demerit as a potency of papa which is generated, and it will result in dukkha, naraka and chitta bhranti. On the other hand, practicing these values like satya, asteya, etc., they constitute dharma and they lead to chitta shuddhi, purification of the mind. So this is a very important thing to keep in mind, that the ethical tenets, they are not they are not optional, they are obligatory, right? So before we proceed to Vishesha Dharma, I just want to highlight some Samanya Dharma tenets. This is from my book, the book you're seeing in the background cover, the Samanya Dharma, Ethical Duties of All. So there is no time to go in deep of it, but I'll just highlight some common tenets, in the Veda itself, we find many such tenets, like I mentioned Satyam Vada, Dharmam Chara. There are other texts like Atharva Veda Samhita, which says that no human in earth or heaven ever to be subjected to hunger or thirst. It also speaks about akrodham, that is freedom from anger. So there are many such tenets, but I think, for example, in Taittiriya Aranyaka, we find an eulogy of Satya, Dhamma and Dharma. Satya is truth, Dhamma is self-control and Dharma. So we have many such references spread across the Veda itself, and they are in a sense more codified and presented in a more codified manner in the Smritis and Puranas and other Dharma Shastras. So, for example, Manusmriti in 10th chapter has this verse, Ahimsa satyamasteyam shaucham indriya nigraham etam samasikam dharmam chaturvanye abbravinman. So, it is a very clear-cut statement. It says that for all the people, there are 4 tenets of dharma which are common, which are universal. What are they? 5 tenets of dharma. And what are they? They are ahimsa, satya, asteya, shaucha, indriya nigrah. So what is this ahimsa? Ahimsa is usually translated as non-violence, but I think it is better to translate it as non-injury, because here ahimsa is not pacifism. Ahimsa is not absolute absolute withdrawal from violence. I mean, absolute ahimsa is not possible in the material plane at all. Even among all the humans, it is perhaps only the sannyasins who have to take ahimsa as a mahavrata. That is, they practice ahimsa as a great observance. That is, so you will see a sannyasi, for example, now Chaturmasya is going on. So they stay in a place during Chaturmasya, they don't roam around, because during this period, the rainy season and all there will be lot of organisms in the forest and everywhere taking life and going through this thing. So in order to not to harm them, the sannyasi stays at a place. Similarly, the sannyasis don't do Agni Karya, because wherever there is Agni, there is some form of himsa to some organisms in the surrounding environment. So they don't cook food for that reason again. They take bhiksha. So for the sannyasin, if you have to speak in a strict terms, ahimsa in its absolute sense can be done by only the Jivan Muktas, those who have attained the highest moksha, the highest knowledge, because only Jivan Mukta, in Ishavasya Upanishad, there is a shloka, there is a mantra about how a Jivan Mukta is. It says a Jivan Mukta is one who sees his own self as a self of all beings, and all the self of all beings in his own self. So only such a person who is rooted in such vision of his own Atma as the Atma of everybody, as Atma of everybody as his own Atma, only he will be able to practice ahimsa in its true sense, in its absolute sense. So, but all of us, rest of us who are not Jivan Muktas, we are always in a sadhana mode. We have not become siddha of ahimsa. We have not accomplished ahimsa in a full sense, but we will be practicing it in a gauna, in a sadhana sense. We are trying to accomplish. So when we are trying to accomplish, it is the sannyasins who observe it as a mahavrata. But for the grihasthas, it is merely a vrata. That is, here non-injury for the grihastha would be not deliberately or deliberately causing injury for selfish reasons, not for just cause, but for selfish reasons. A violence committed for a just cause is not adharma for a grihastha. However, violence by definition has some papa karma involved. There is no doubt about it. But if we are to go by that, then we will not be able to live at all, because the cooking in the house is a violent activity. The agriculture is a violent activity. So we do all these things for survival. We have to do, there is no other way than that, right? So for the grihastha, violence in certain contexts is permissible. So ahimsa is not complete pacifism. It is, for the grihastha, is not committing injury upon others for selfish purposes, and trying to avoid such a lifestyle, such a decision making, which involves, as much as possible, which involves avoidance of causing of himsa to others. And even here we see that not everybody is able to do this to 100%. So that is what the everything is. See, all these Nisheda Vakyas, all this restraint meant that the Shastras speak about, they are to be developed slowly with practice, with many lives. You cannot directly jump into it because we all have very much tendencies, vasanas and all very strong in us. So we have to make space for everybody. So ahimsa is also like that. So in Manusmriti, for example, there is a discussion about meat eating and ahimsa, and that is one of the most nuanced discussion you will find. Manu speaks about how, on one hand, it is natural for a human being to eat meat. It is a naturally available tendency among us. But then he also says that because procurement of meat involves violence, the one who procures it, the one who prepares it, and one who eats it, all of them share some papa karma in it. Therefore, the best way to do it, if you have to eat meat, then eat it by offering to Bhagavan. You offer it to Devatas and then eat it. But the ideal is that you abstain from meat eating for the consideration of ahimsa. And if you abstain from meat eating, then that is equivalent to Ashwamedha Yajna. That is what the Manu says. So the point here is there is no complete prohibition. There is no nisheda of meat eating in the Shastra, but there is no Vidhi Vakya also saying you have to eat meat. So what is there is that it understands the ground situation that people eat meat, and it is saying that meat eating, while it is natural to us, it recognizes this as a natural tendency. It says that it is better, it is dharmically better to abstain from meat eating. That is a higher option because of the considerations of ahimsa. But in case you are not able to stop meat eating directly, then it is better to offer what you are eating to the devata. In that case, it would become not just eating for taste, it would become sanctified. And there the papa karma will reduce. We see this in practice in many communities. In Karnataka, we see that many people who otherwise eat meat, they don't eat it on particular days of a week. Some avoid on Tuesday, some avoid on Monday, some avoid on Saturday, some avoid on Friday. So this is a gradual way of introducing ahimsa into one's life. But as I said, eating is also for survival. But now we have to consider there are many other aspects wherein injuries caused, but eating is for survival, but it is also for taste. So that is where the problem is. But there are other greater problems. We do all these animal testings for pharmacy industry, the cosmetic industry, or scientific experiments, so on and so forth. But somehow our current society has accepted all this himsa as okay, acceptable for good of humanity. But there is one area where we have developed a severe apathy or severe because of propaganda, severe opposition. It is the Pashubali in the context of ritual. There are within the Vaidika Sampradaya as well as Tantrika Sampradaya, there are rituals where the sacrifice of animal is part of that ritual vidhi. We have Pashubandha Yajnas in the Veda, wherein goats and other things are given. Even in Ashwamedha, etc., they used to be given. Now in the Tantrika Sampradaya, we have temples such as Kamakhya, wherein Pashubali is a vidhi, it has to happen for the purpose of the ritual. Now we have all the acharyas, be it Shankaracharya, be it Ramanujacharya, or the Mimamsakas such as Kumarila. Everybody has accepted, even in Manusmriti it is accepted. I already mentioned how the food has to be offered to Devata. And Manusmriti also speaks about the himsa in the context of yagya is not himsa at all, because it is not adharma. That is the opinion of all acharyas also, because the Veda which prescribes ahimsa, they also prescribe the sacrifice of animal, the pashubandha, the pashuvada in the context. So it is Veda which is the, or Veda and the Shastras, which is the anchor, which is the foundation, which is the pramana for determining what is dharma and what is adharma. This being the case, the same Veda which is saying ahimsa, it is also saying you can sacrifice animals in a ritual. So you cannot say that this Pashu bandha in a ritual is adharma, right? So this nuance has to be understood. So there are many exceptions to this ahimsa. So this animal sacrifice is ritual is one. Committing violence for self-defense. If somebody wants to kill you or harm you and you use force in self-defense, that is also dharma. A king using danda or raja dharma, the danda, the punishment to punish the wrongdoers, that is also dharma. So these ethical principles are nuanced. It's not a white blanket statements. So after ahimsa, the second one is satyam, which is speaking truth. Again, it's a nuanced thing, and we have a very beautiful verse in Manusmriti, which speaks about satyam bruyat, priyam bruyat, na bruyat satyam apriyam, priyam cha nandrutam bruyat, esha dharma sanatana. Speak truth, speak pleasant, do not speak unpleasant truth, nor also speak falsehood, pleasant falsehood. This is the eternal law. There, I have not come across any better conceptualization of the tenet of Satya. What it is saying is, you have to speak truth. That does not mean you weaponize truth for hurting others. That does not mean you weaponize truth to creating rumors, for gossiping. Gossip is adharma. The Manusmriti elsewhere says about speaking falsehood, gossiping, etc. is adharma. Gossiping is adharma, even if the content of the gossip is satya. So the satyam bruyat priyam bruyat, you speak truth, but also always speak pleasant. If you have to speak truth, you speak it in a pleasant manner. Speak it in a manner that it causes least harm to the listener. And never speak untruth. Even if it is pleasant, don't speak untruth. And avoid speaking unpleasant truth also, unless and until it is necessary. I mean, for example, it may be necessary in the context, say, there is a patient, he has some terminal condition, and he has to be informed. So the person who doing the job of the informing has to attempt to his best to inform in a as pleasant manner, for the lack of better word, as possible, in a manner that it does not cause harm to the individual. Do not rudely break the news, right? So satyam bruyat, priyam bruyat, na bruyat satyam apriyam, priyam cha nandritam bruyat, esha dharma sanatana. And truth is a very, very difficult thing to practice. And the bull of dharma stands on 4 legs, and one of the leg is satya. And this is the satya leg that is still surviving in Kali Yuga. The other legs have been cut off. That story appears in Bhagavad Purana. Now the third tenet is asteya. Basically, asteya is steya means stealing. Steya means taking away of objects belonging to others through stealing or by using force is steyam. Asteyam is abstaining from such a practice, right? Asteya is abstaining from practices such as stealing, taking what does not belong to us, So now in today's context, we can even apply it to, copyright violations, plagiarism, and many other things. This is again a straightforward thing. We don't need any much explanation. But I would say that under Asteya, you can include even, not non-indulgence in practices such as adultery. Having a relationship with a married person, that also comes, because that is also kind of a stealing, right? Now, the next fourth tenet is Shaucha. Shaucha is purity, cleanliness, and Shaucha is two types, internal and external. External Shaucha is Shaucha, cleanliness of the body, cleanliness of the surrounding environment, and internal cleanliness is the overcoming of the internal, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, etc. internal enemies, internal impurities. That is what Shaucham is. We have a very detailed discussion of Shaucham in various Dharma Shastras. And fifth tenet that Manu speaks is Indriya Nigraha, and this is perhaps one of the most important tenet, because Indriya Nigraha is basically self-control, self-restraint. It is Shama and Dhamma, your restrainment of the mind and the senses. The mind and the senses are, by definition, they're designed to move out into the sense objects. They're designed to move out. But you restrain them, that is what Indriya Nigraha is. Because if you allow your senses, your mind, a free action, a free field to function upon, then it will lead to chaos. There is no end to desires, there is no end to attachment, and you'll always be pursuing your desires, and you end up in sorrow, end up frustrated, end up in depression. So it does not mean that everybody has to take sannyasa. It simply means that you have to restrain the senses and the mind, and when you pursue your desires, you have to pursue in a measured manner, in a restrained manner, and using dharmika means, not in an unrestrained manner which causes damage to yourself as well as others. So in Bhagavad Gita, there is a wonderful shloka which says, it comes in 2nd chapter, it says, in the case of a person who dwells on objects, there arises attachment for them. From attachment grows desire. From desire springs anger. From anger flows delusion. From delusion, failure of memory. From failure of memory comes the loss of intellect. And from loss of intellect, one perishes. So this is the direct result of what happens if you allow your desires, allow your indriyas a free country, right? So indriyas have to be controlled. In fact, no dharmacharana is possible without indriya nigraha, because in when we speak about those who are eligible to practice dharma, the Manusmriti says that dharma bodhana is to be given only to those who have detached themselves from the pursuit of artha and kama. That is, as long as you're obsessed with artha and kama pursuit, you will not even turn yourself towards the direction of dharma, much less to the direction of moksha. And you won't be able to practice dharma, because practicing dharma is all about indriya nigraha. You see an ice cream, you don't jump to eat that ice cream every instance. You try to control yourself, control your desires. You fulfill your desires in a measured and restrained manner. That is what practice of dharma is all about. So now these are the 5 tenets that Manu speaks, the Samanya Dharma. Yagyavalkya adds dana, charity. Dhamma again is self-control. Daya, which is compassion. Kshanti. So he adds all these tenets again to this. Now, again, under Dana, Bhagavad Gita speaks about Dana could be sattvic, it could be rajasic, it could be tamasic. Doing Dana in a sattvic way is superior to doing it in a rajasic and tamasic way. We have many other tenets for in different texts. More details will be there in my book. You can just read it. But I will just read out one or two more. Mahabharata, for example, lists about suppression of anger, truthfulness of speech, sharing with others in appropriate manner, forgiveness, begetting children upon one's own wedded wives, purity of conduct, non-indulgence in treachery, simplicity, maintenance of dependence. These are the 9 duties that are common to everyone. So it lists 9 tenets of Samanya Dharma. In Bhagavata Purana, at one place, it lists only short tenets. Ahimsa Satyam Astayam, Akama Krodha Lobhata, Bhuta Priya Hiteha cha, Dharmoyam Sarva Varnika. Non-injury, truthfulness, non-stealing, freedom from lust, freedom from anger, freedom from greed, and the desire for happiness and welfare for all is what is Samanya Dharma. But in another place, same Bhagavata Purana lists as many as 36 tenets of Samanya Dharma: truth, compassion, austerity, purity, forbearance, discrimination, control of mind, control of senses, non-injury, restrainment of sexual desires, sacrifice and charity, study of the Shastras, straightforwardness, contentment, service to those who are same-sighted towards everyone, gradually taking leave of unnecessary engagements, observing the futility of the unnecessary activity of human society, practicing silence, introspection into one's own self, distributing food and drinks equally and befittingly to all living entities, to consider everyone first of all as being part of Bhagavan, listening to the glory of Ishvara, singing to the glory of Ishvara, remembering the glories of Ishvara, service to saintly persons, performing worship, offering prayers, attitude of a servant towards Ishvara, attitude of friendship towards Ishvara, surrendering of the self that leads to identity with Ishvara. So all this, some 30 tenets are mentioned in Bhagavad Purana as Samanya Dharma. So as you see, the Samanya Dharma is the bedrock of the practice of Sanatana Dharma, practice of Swadharma. Because irrespective of your context, your place and your location, your situation, your varna, ashrama, the Samanya Dharma is the foundation. It is the practice of Samanya Dharma that brings about Chitta Shuddhi. So it is available to everybody, everybody is obligated to practice. It is upon the foundation of this Samanya Dharma, the Shastras give a tailor-made, a specialized set of dharma called Vishesha Dharma, which is basically based on one's competency, one's eligibility, one's ritual state. It has designed some further obligations, further duties for different peoples that they are supposed to practice, by practicing which they work towards Sukha, Swarga and Chitta Shuddhi, leading to Moksha. So the Vishesha Dharma is built on the top of the Samanya Dharma. And we will see that I'll just share again the presentation to go through the Vishesha Dharma. Very quickly, we will see some of them and then we'll take some final questions. And now this is from a book, Sri Karpatri Swami Ek Adhyayan. there he speaks about Vishesha Dharma in different ways. It is there. I'll just read out. विशेष धर्म देश जाति काल व्यक्ति विशेष की स्वाभाविक परिस्थिति के अनुसार जो धर्म है उन्हें विशेष धर्म कहते हैं. Basically what it is saying is Vishesha Dharma is those dharmas which are in accordance to Desha, Jati. Jati means group. Desha, Jati, Kala. Kala is time, and Vyakti Vishesh, which is special to one person. So Vyakti Vishesh, Vishesha Dharma or specialized duties caused because of which are tailor-made to one person, or it could be because of certain conditions of time, certain conditions of desha, and certain activities which are applicable to certain communities. That is what Vishesha Dharma is. So he gives example. भारतवर्ष में वर्णाश्रम धर्म, अन्य अपूर्ण प्रकृति वाले देशों में तादृश विभिन्न म्लेच्छ धर्म, दैशिक विशेष धर्म. So Desh, the different kinds of dharma according to the location. He says that in Bharatavarsha we have Varnashrama Dharma. We have the notion of dharma decided based on ritual state of Varna and the stage of life of Ashrama. But in other countries we do not have this Varnashrama Dharma. There they have their own dharmas, their own notions of dharma, their own religions. That is what we call as Mlecha Dharma, because we consider those who are outside of Hindu Dharma, those who are outside of the India as Mlechas. So that is a traditional category. We don't need to go deep into it. So this is one way of looking at dharma based on location, Vishesha Dharma. Then we have Jati Vishesh. What is this Jati here? Jati does not mean caste per se. That is one way. But Jati means community, any grouping. So he says, Stri, Purush, Arya, Yavan, Hun, Kash, Kirat, Adi ke vibhinna jatiya Vishesha Dharma. So Stri, the duty is applicable to women as a community or women as a group. That is also a community specific dharma. Similarly, a Purusha Dharma, that is applicable to men. There is a Arya Dharma, there is a Yavan Dharma. So in community specific, we all see many communities having many different practices. Kulacharas we call them, right? Then the time specific activities are there, which are Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, which we call as Yuga Dharma. Or we have activities specific to those practice in the day, those practice in the night, those practice in the evening. These are all time specific activities, the dharmic activities. Then there is Vyakti Vishesh. Vyakti Vishesh Dwara Palani Dharma bhi Sanatan Dharma hai. जैसे राज धर्म, पुत्र धर्म, गुरु का धर्म, शिष्य का धर्म. That is Vyakti Vishesh is basically where what kind of relation or functional aspect a person is located in. Just for example, the king has Raja Dharma, a son has Putra Dharma, the citizens have Praja Dharma, the father has a Pita Dharma, mother has a Matra Dharma, Guru has a Guru Dharma, Shishya has a Shishya Dharma, husband has Dharma of a husband, that is Pati Dharma, wife has Patni Dharma, Sevak has Sevak Dharma, Swami has Swami Dharma, friend has a Sakha Dharma, a small child has a Bala Dharma, a elderly person has a Vriddha Dharma. So these are all Vyakti Vishesh Dharma. So you see the Vishesha Dharma captures a very lot of landscape, and that is what makes Sanatana Dharma beautiful, unique, because we do not believe in one size shoe fits everybody. On the top of the foundation of Samanya Dharma, which is universal, we have built up these specialized prescriptions of Dharma that are applicable to different people in different conditions, right? Now, based on these, this is one way of looking. I have created, based on the Manusmriti specifically, how to locate Dharma, right? So I call this as locating Dharma. That is when we as an individual ask ourselves, what is my dharma? What is my swadharma? So I have to, one is of course the foundation of Samanya Dharma, but Vishesha Dharma, I have to ask myself, how do I locate my Vishesha Dharma? And this locating Dharma is possible cosmologically, temporally, teleologically, functionally, and relationally. So basically, cosmologically is location with respect to it is basically locating of dharma with respect to desha, with respect to where you are located in cosmos. So if you remember, in when you do the puja, we take the sankalpa, we say Jambu Dvipe, Bharata Khande, and Bharata Varshe, and Godavarya Tire in South India, if you are there. So we say Godavari Tira. So we locate ourselves cosmologically, in the cosmic sense where we are located. So in that sense also there is certain dharma that is available to us. So we will look at it one by one. What is this locating dharma cosmologically, temporally, teleologically, functionally, relationally mean? Cosmological location, for example, means in Manusmriti, for example, it speaks about how different beings were created. Say Yakshas, Rakshasas, Pishachas, Gandharvas, Apsaras, Gandharvas, Asuras, Nagas, Sarpas, Suparnas, Pitras, birds, animals, insects, so on and so forth. So the humans are only one among the different beings in the universe. So these humans as a being, cosmologically speaking, we are one among the many beings. So as a human being, we have Manushya Dharma. So the Samanya Dharma is in a sense Manushya Dharma also, though it is applicable to others also, but nevertheless we will not go into this. So as a humans, we have certain Dharma. And most importantly, we have to understand this cosmological location is important to understand, is important because we have to understand that the world does not begin with us. The world will not end with us. We are not the center of the universe. Because in modern day, we have a very anthropocentric view. This is called anthropocentrism. Keeping humans, keeping man as the center of a worldview and belief in human exceptionalism. This feeds on human greed, selfishness, ego, and etc. Because you will see today everybody speaking about rights, human rights, animal rights, this rights, feminist rights, LGBTQ rights, that rights. See, all these notions of rights is based on this anthropocentric view that of human exceptionalism. I am exceptional, therefore I need all these privileges. But dharma cannot function in such a anthropocentric view, in a worldview. Because by dharma, by definition, is about being selfless. So Dharma Shastras is trying to fix the focus of a human-centric discourse to a cosmos-centric discourse by telling us that we are only one among the different beings. So it is asking us to withdraw from anthropocentrism and locate ourselves into larger cosmology and understand human duties in the cosmic perspective. So we are an important part of the universe, but we are not the center of the universe. So human duties, Manushya Dharma, has to be understood. So just like there is Manushya Dharma, there are Devata Dharma, there is a Rishi Dharma, there are this Brahmana Dharma, Kshatriya Dharma. All these are understood from such a cosmological perspective. So from that is cosmology comes the Desha Kala as well. So from the Deshachara, we already saw how this Varnashrama is applicable in India. But Varnashrama is more complicated also. It has a different perspective, different dimensions to it. We'll just look into it briefly later. Moving on, temporally location is about Yuga Dharma, as I mentioned. We have the notion of Yuga, Kalpa, Manvantara and all those things and how the Dharma varies. For example, the Shastras say tapasya was the main dharma which was beneficial for people in Satya Yuga, I think, if I am not mistaken. And yajna became that in Dwapara and Treta Yuga, etc. For Kali Yuga, dana, charity is the main dharma. Sometimes it is also said in Kali Yuga, Bhagwan Nama Sankirtana is the main dharma. So the point is, others do not become adharma, but these, because of the nature of the yuga, these particular aspects become the prominent dharma, because all of us are able to perform it. Performing charity is very easy in Kali Yuga, despite any other disturbances. For performing yajna, there many obstacles may come. For performing many other activities, obstacles will come. But dana is easy. Taking Bhagwan Nama is also easy, because Bhagwan's Nama does not require any initiation. Mantras require initiation, but Nama mantra, which is Nama Japa, does not require any initiation. You can sit anywhere, chant Bhagwan's name. So that becomes, this is Yuga Dharma. Similarly, we have certain dharma, such as when there is an eclipse, there are certain activities that the Shastras tell you to do. That is again temporally location of dharma. Based on the time, specific time, you have to supposed to do something. I already gave the example of Sandhya Vandana as well. Now, next is teleologically locating dharma. What is this teleology? Teleology basically is a modern term in Western philosophy. Teleology is about end result, end goal. We are doing something for the highest goal of life. And in a Hindu dharma, highest goal is Paramadharma, which is moksha, which is got by Atma Jnana. And our Dharma Shastra says that our practice of this Grihastha Dharma, this Varnashrama Dharma, this Samanya Dharma, our Swadharma, is a limb or a subset of the pursuit of the Paramadharma, of the spiritual pursuit of moksha. So teleologically, what dharma we are doing in the sense of practicing ethical values in life, fulfilling our obligations within the family or a job or other duties in the ritualistic context, all these are a subset or basically limb to that higher dharma of moksha. Because these subset, this limb leads to purification of the mind, which in turn leads to moksha. So this is how we have to approach Vishesha Dharma. It is important to understand the importance of Vishesha Dharma. Now, Dharma can be located even functionally and relationally, and I think this is more relevant to us, right? Functionally, for example, we can speak about dharma under the headings of Varna Dharma, Ashrama Dharma, Purusha Dharma, Stri Dharma, Raj Dharma. So let us take Varna Dharma a bit. See, mostly we think that Varna is about a job, about division of labor and all. That is true in some extent. There is definitely an element of functionality. The Brahmanas, for example, play the role in a society which is different from Kshatriyas. The role of a Brahmana is to, for example, to do adhyayana, to preserve the Shastra, to preserve the Jnana Parampara, and to teach them to others, and to offer advice, etc. The role of a Kshatriya is the protection of the society, to wage war, etc., to give out punishments. The role of a Vaishya is to generate wealth for the society, to sustain the society through wealth. The role of a Shudra is Shushrusha, to nurture the society by various means, various activities, service-related activities, creative activities like art, music, dance, drama, theater, and so on and so forth. But Varna is also a ritual state, which we don't realize often. Varna is based on, if you see all the Shastras, not just cherry pick things, the Shastras are very clear. There are three factors that determine Varna. There is Janma, there is Guna, there is Karma. The Upanishad says that based on the karma you practice in this life, you will get a particular birth, you will get a particular parents, and you are born into particular Varna. There, the Varna being referred is not just, it is, we always ask, what is this birth? What do you mean by Varna is by birth? How can birth determine? Here by birth, what is the reference is to our prarabdha karma of the previous life. Or prarabdha karma determines our birth today. But it is also a reference to a ritual state. So when you say Brahmana Varna, it is a reference to Brahmanatva or Brahmanya, which is a ritual state, which makes one to eligible to perform the rituals prescribed in the Shastras for the Brahmanas. So this is very clear from the Upanishads itself, which says that, that Bhagavan himself, he manifests different deities, and as these deities are Abhimani Devatas of certain Varnas. So these deities enter the people who belong to that Varna. So when we say Brahmanya, it is that preservation of the essence of the deities inside us. So it's a complicated thing. I'll give you a link. There is a talk by me on this subject, which I delivered some months ago. You can watch it. But basically, what we need to understand is Varna Dharma, when it is said, Varna Dharma is Upasana Paddhati. The Vishnu Purana and other places which says that one of the ways to practice bhakti is to practice your Varnashrama Dharma. So Dharma is a ritualistic practice, and Varna is what makes one eligible to practice that Dharma. So Shankaracharya also clarifies this in his Upanishad Bhashya. So Varna is a ritual state, in the sense, when we say a Brahmana, it means a Brahmana is one who has the ritual state of Brahmana, that is, who has Brahmanya in him. There is a Brahmana Devata in him. Similarly for Vaishya, Kshatriya, Shudra and others also. So it means that it is a reference to the fact that particular person is eligible to perform certain ritualistic duties, which are called as Varna Dharma. And through such duties, one attains Punya, Sukha, Swarga, etc. If others perform those duties, they will not attain Punya, Swarga, etc. That is what Swadharma is all about. You have to understand your own ritualistic state, and you have to perform your duties accordingly. So Samanya Dharma is also a performance of ritual, because everything is ritual, everything is a yajna. You know, that is how the Gita speaks about even Karma Yoga as a yajna, right? Because everything is, every action can be turned into Karma Yoga. So Varna Dharma is such one functionally locating Dharma, a ritualistic function. So Varna is a ritualistic function. Ashrama Dharma is again, you know, whether you are a student, brahmacharya, whether you are a householder, grihastha, based on this certain ritualistic function, certain duty, certain dharma is there. See, I believe the practice of dharma itself is a ritualistic practice, whether you are practicing Samanya Dharma or Vishesha Dharma. Why? Because there is an alaukika element. When you practice dharma, it is different from practicing artha and kama, because in artha and kama, you get only pleasure, etc. in this life. When you practice dharma, there is a generation of punya, which leads to sukha, swarga, and chitta shuddhi, leading to moksha. So practice of dharma itself is a ritualistic practice. So with this in mind, so functionally we have other such as Varna Dharma, Ashrama Dharma, Purusha Dharma, Stri Dharma, and Raja Dharma, etc. And similarly, a subset of this functional dharma is a relationally locating dharma. So whether we are father, mother, daughter, son, husband, wife, teacher, student, king, or citizen, or a boss in a office setup, or a subordinate in an office setup. So all these are relational dharma. So a comprehensive understanding of dharma in these frameworks, in the framework of cosmology, temporal, teleological, functional relation, we have to ask ourselves, it helps us to locate what is dharma that is relevant to us. What is dharma that is relevant to us means what actions are useful for us, beneficial for us, what are obligatory for us, non-performance of which leads to papam and dukkham. What actions are beneficial to us, performance of which leads to sukha and swarga and chitta shuddhi, and what actions should be avoided. So just the last slide, for example, the different functional role of a husband and wife in the context of giving birth to children. There is a verse in Manusmriti which says, women were created for the purpose of childbearing and men for the purpose of procreation. And hence, it is that the religious duties have been ordained in the Veda as common between man and his wife. So what it is saying is, in bringing the children into the world, men and women are together. The husband and wife cooperate with each other together. A man cannot create a child on himself. A woman cannot create a child herself. Of course, today we have this artificial insemination and all those things. Let's not discuss that. That's a different thing and it will require time and nuance to go it. But in general, a man needs a woman and a woman needs a man. And they both come together for creating children. And even there, though both cooperate together, they are both in this together, the role of the man and the role of the woman is distinct, right? So he says, it is this commonality, it is this togetherness which is at the heart of the institute of marriage, through which a grihastha ashrama dharma has been designed for the man and woman to pursue together for mutual benefit. They are both together pursue dharma to attain chitta shuddhi, to attain sukha, swarga, chitta shuddhi, etc. So that is what why the wife is called a sahadharma charini, because the marriage itself is about sahadharma. You practice dharma together. And sambhoga, you experience the bhoga or the experiences of life together, right? So this is how the dharma is designed in the context of marriage. Now there is another verse, I think I mentioned this one. The father guards the daughter when she is young, the husband guards in her youth, the children guard their mother when they are in old age. So this is clearly about duties of the men folk towards the women folk in their own family. And there is teacher children, you can see here that when a pupil is studying under a teacher, he should practice cleanliness, right behavior. He should do prostration to the teacher and all those things. And Manusmriti speaks about different duties of different varnas. Say for the Brahmana, Adhyayana, Adhyapana, Yajana, Yajana, Dana, receiving and giving dana are given as duties. So this Adhyayana, that is studying the Veda, doing the sacrifice, teaching the Veda, helping others to perform sacrifice, all these are. Similarly for Kshatriya, ordained duty is protection of people, for giving gifts and other things. So the thing is, these are the duties which brings punyam. It is not speaking per se about the livelihood. Of course, there is an element of livelihood as well, but the main purpose here is punyam. So that is what dharma is all about, punyam, right? While artha is about gaining material resources, kama is about fulfilling material pleasures, dharma is all about punyam, accumulating punyam. So with this, I end my presentation on the Dharma Shastras. You saw that in today's session, we did touch upon the vast content of the Dharma Shastric teachings. If you read the text, all these individual topics, they are dealt at many places in great detail, from giving dana to practicing ahimsa, to the duties of a kshatriya, to the duties in the context of a marriage, to Sri Dharma or Purusha Dharma. They're all scattered in many multiple places and they have dealt with great detail. So I hope you found these 3 sessions useful in some way. I'm open to questions. You can ask questions from today's session as well as from older sessions as well. And I'll just read out questions that I have already received like yesterday. First comment is 3 Vitta Manabhanga Mandu Bonka Vachu. It is a Telugu. I don't understand Telugu. Sorry. So I don't understand the second line there.
1 minute, I'll try and what is this? Okay. We'll take this later. First, can you take that next one?
Yes, yeah. The next question is, in the Ramayana, what is the difference of adharma between Rama's banishment to the forest and Ravana's abduction of Ma Sita? I'm not sure what the question here is. Ravana's abduction of Ma Sita is very, very clear, right? Ravana is clearly kidnapping another person. There is 2 crimes of Ravana. One is kidnapping per se, which is a crime. The second is adultery. It is also he tried to commit adultery, because that is what the purpose of kidnapping was, right? He wanted to have somebody else's wife as his consort. So that is very clear. But Rama's banishment to forest, I think you mean Rama's banishment of Sita to forest. That is what you mean to ask, I think. So see, that is a more complicated thing. I would not say that was a adharma per se. That situation itself was very unfortunate, in which both Rama and Sita suffered. So what happened was, Rama is a king. As a king, he has Raja Dharma, and for a king, there is no personal life. The king cannot think himself as a person. His personal comfort, his personal likes, dislikes are immaterial. For a Raja, the protection of the praja, the welfare of his citizens, is the foremost. Dharma in his country is foremost. If you remember the Agni Pariksha episode, while Rama did not ask Sita to perform Agni Pariksha, he kind of facilitated that whole action, and he gives the reason. He is aware why he is doing it. He is doing it so that nobody questions the character of Sita, so that nobody uses Sita as an excuse to commit adultery. However, despite his best efforts, despite Sita, establishing her purity, she did not need to establish anything actually. But despite that happening, the Agni Pariksha episode, after many, many years in the kingdom of Rama, I think at least 10,000 years or something like that, people still, people are weak. Common people are weak. Just like today, there were gossiping there then also. And Rama came to know that many people are trying to use Sita as an excuse to justify their own adultery. See, now this adultery is a great adharma. And adultery leads to all kinds of papam, and it leads to all kind of instability in the law and order in a society, chaos in society. So now, what options did Rama had? One option was, of course, to ask Sita to perform Agni Pariksha again. But how good it would be? I mean, it would be unfair to Sita. Because Rama believes in Sita, Rama always believed in Sita. Rama knows the purity of Sita. He does not need any exhibition of it. So it would be adharma to ask Sita, unfair to Sita to ask again to establish her purity. But not taking any action also is adharma on the part of a Raja, because not taking action means giving more, maunam sammati lakshanam. Rama is silent. It shows that Sita was at fault. So when the Raja, yatha Raja tatha praja, when Raja can allow adultery, why cannot others allow adultery in the society? So people will all take to all kinds of adharma, not just adultery, even other adharmas, right? So that would lead to chaos. So Rama cannot sit quiet. He could have gone, he could have declared anybody who questions Sita's character will be banished or will be killed. Now that would have made him a tyrant. And that would have further made people to question the character of Sita. There must be something there, that is why Rama is overreacting, right? You would have been called him a tyrant, not a Maryada Purushottam. So that option was also not there. So the only option available to him was to send her away. But he did not do so in the format of a punishment, though it was kind of, from the perspective of a praja, Rama kind of made her go away from the perspective of a praja. Yes, so that was there, a kind of a banishment. But from the perspective of Sita itself, Sita, if you read the whole thing, Sita was pregnant and she wanted to give birth to children in a more conductive environment amidst the rishis in the vana, etc. So Rama made all the arrangements needed for it and he sent her away. Of course, this does not mean it was easy for Sita. It does not mean Sita did not suffer. No, Sita suffered. But so did Rama. We are forgetting that Rama also suffered. Both Rama and Sita suffered. It was again because of there was a curse at play from Purva Karma, which was at play. If I remember correctly, the curse was because of Vrinda, Tulsi, that was given to Vishnu. If I remember correctly, I am not sure. That was what at play here. So what happened with the banishment of Sita was incorrect, was unfair to both Rama and Sita. But, as I say, life throws at you never black and white. It throws at you different shades of gray. So this one was a very good example for that. Now, abduction of Rukmini by Krishna. See, you have to understand, Rukmini, first of all, was willing for that. It was a Rakshasa Vivaha with acceptance by Rukmini, with Rukmini had wanted to marry Krishna. Second thing is, in the Hindu Dharma, 8 forms of marriage are recognized. 4 of them is considered superior, 4 of them inferior. Among the inferior ones, one is definitely not acceptable, that is Paishacha Vivaha, which is basically rape, which is basically making someone drink or drug and then have your way. But Rakshasa Vivaha is one which is accepted for the Kshatriyas, but not for others. Because Rakshasa Vivaha, because Kshatriya marriages are complicated political affairs. There are multiple factors. But in the case of Rukmini and Krishna, it was a partly Gandharva and partly Rakshasa marriage. Therefore, it was no adharma at all. So anyways, this is very, going outside of the scope of the discussion. I see similar questions actually. Why only animal sacrifice? Why not human sacrifice? What right the humans have on the animals to dictate these terms? Again, these questions comes from a modern perspective, modern enlightenment values. You have to understand whether you can ask why give Chappan Bhog to Bhagavan Krishna? Why offer flowers? Why offer Bilva to Ishvara? Why offer Pashu to Devi is as good as why offer Bilva to Ishvara? Because that is what the deity likes. That is what the deity has mandated through the Shastras. Just like from Puranas, etc., we know that Shiva likes Bilva, Shiva is Bilva Priya, and Shiva is Abhisheka Priya. That is why Abhisheka happens. We know from the Shastras that Devi is Bali Priya. She likes Bali. In Kalika Purana, there is an entire chapter called Rudira Bali. Rudira means blood, blood sacrifice. Similarly, in the Veda, in the Shruti, we have Yagyas, we have Soma Yagyas, we have Pashubandha Yagyas, where animals are sacrificed. It is the requirement of the ritual. Now, if you take up Manusmriti, Manusmriti says the purpose of the creation of the Pashus is for the sake of Yagya. What would you say to that? Right? When Ishvara is the Jagat Karana and Ishvara has created all beings for a purpose. And Ishvara has revealed this knowledge through the Shastras. And the Shastras say that one of the purposes of the Pashus is to be sacrificed in a Yagya. Right? So you have to change the perspective from our commonsensical understanding of right and wrong to Shastra based understanding of what is Dharma, what is Adharma. To the question, what rights do humans have on animals is that what rights do the humans have to conduct scientific experiments on animals, to send the animal on a space journey, to conduct medicinal experiments on animals? Do you, before taking all the medicines, do you say, I will not take these medicines because animal experiments have been conducted on these animals? The medical experiments have been conducted on the animals. Similarly, before using all these pharma products, all these cosmetic products, all the leather or any other products, do we say that why should we use this? We don't do that, right? Before eating food, do we say that we should not eat non-veg? Many people eat, right? So the point I'm trying to say is, we are somehow okay with killing animals for a purely secular purposes, purely worldly purposes, in which there is no benefit to either, in which there is no otherworldly benefit, in which there is no spiritual benefit either to the performer or to the animal. But we somehow have this notion that ritualistic sacrifice of animal is wrong. In fact, I would say the reverse should be the case. We should try to avoid causing injury to animals for our selfish purposes as much as possible. But giving animal sacrifice in ritual is a good thing, because there I am benefiting, because there is a punya generated, there will be spiritual goals that is attained through that ritual. The animal is benefiting because not any animal can be sacrificed in a ritual. There are certain signs, certain nimittas have to be seen and followed. You cannot simply give any animal, bring it and sacrifice. The nimittas shows that that particular Pashu is meant for the sacrifice. That sacrifice is beneficial to that Pashu. There is not only that the Pashu will go to Swarga, will get a better Janma in a human yoni, for example, in the next life, but that sacrifice itself acts as an initiation for that Pashu. We don't know all those things. That is why we are speaking in a manner of ignorant. But if you say that you don't accept all those things, if you say that no, I don't accept all those things, all these are superstition, then you will say that whole Hindu Dharma is superstition. Because the Shastras which tell about Pashubali also tell about Shiva Abhisheka or Chappan Bhog to Krishna, then all those are superstition. Then you are an Astika because you are rejecting Shastra, you are rejecting Shastriya practices, then this course is not for you, right? You cannot have, you cannot say that, you cannot have, you cannot say that I believe in Shastras, but then you reject one aspect of the Shastra as I don't believe in this. You cannot be half Astika, half Nastika. You are either a Astika or either an Astika. Either you take Shastra as a Pramana or you don't take Shastra as a Pramana. Either you accept Ishvara exists and Ishvara is the Jagat Karana and Ishvara is the order, maintainer of the order. Ishvara is, can be approached to different means, or you don't accept. It is fine. Nobody is saying that everybody should do Pashubali. No. You're free not to do it. Nobody is saying that everybody has to do Pashubandha Yagya. No, there is no compulsion there. It's not your path, that's fine. But there are others for whom it is a valid path. I hope this addresses the question. There are very good videos in the internet by my friend Rajarshi Nandi, who speaks about Pashubali from a Vamachara perspective, who has spoken from Pashubali from a Shakta perspective. Please do watch it with an open mind. That is my request. Because we have to keep Shastra at the heart. Even Medaditi, in his commentary on Manusmriti, he again and again brings the question of animal sacrifice to say, you cannot reject it because the Shastra mandates it as Dharma. Our commonsensical understanding of right and wrong cannot override the Shastric mandate of what is Dharma and Adharma. Because Shastra is the ultimate source of knowledge about what is Dharma, Adharma. The next question is, does Vali abducting Sugriva's wife as revenge? If so, why is Samanya Dharma not followed by eminent Purana personalities? See, the purpose of the Puranas is to show you various personalities, is to teach you Dharma in different ways. Not everybody in the Puranic character performs Dharma in all circumstances. You learn from their actions as much from their good actions as you learn from their bad actions. You learn from their victories as much you learn from their mistakes, right? Vali was a great warrior, great king, but he also committed adultery. He also committed, so you learn from his greatness as much as you learn from his mistake, right? So that is the purpose of the Itihasa Puranas. In Ganesh Purana, there is a wonderful story. There is a Rishi Patni. There was a king who visits a Rishi, and there the Rishi Patni becomes enamored with the king. She approaches the king with a request for romantic relationship. The king rejects that. He goes away. He says, you are a Rishi Patni, you should not speak like that. And it is a great papam, and he goes away. But Rishi Patni continues to have those thoughts. And Indra takes the form of that king and satisfies her. Now, you will blame Indra. You know, we always blame Indra. But look what is happening. The desire was not of Indra's. The desire was of Rishi Patni's. She is the one who transgressed. Indra is merely fulfilling her desire. What is this Indra? Indra is our Indriyas. Indra is the head of the Indriya, our mind, right? So we have to understand there are many layers to the Itihasa Purana stories. There is an ethical layer, there is a spiritual layer, there is a sadhana related layer, there is many deep layers. And of course, it is interesting to study these from different perspectives. So next question is Jambu Dvipe Bharatavarsha. Yes, that is what I meant. We do the Sankalpa. We are cosmologically locating ourselves when we take Sankalpa. We simply do not say, I, Nithin Sridhar, doing this sadhana. I locate myself cosmologically and temporally also. Where exactly I am located, in what time, what yuga, what manvantara, what this I am exactly located, which year, right? The next question is, have you authored a book on Vishesha Dharma as well? That is a work in progress. I mean, I have not yet started. That is a work I want to do. I will be doing in coming years for sure. But Vishesha Dharma requires more reading, more study, more work on my part. Not as easy as the Samanya Dharma. So maybe in few years you will see me coming out a book on Vishesha Dharma. Definitely. And you can follow, everybody can, interested can follow me on Facebook and Twitter. You can just type out my name, Nithin Sridhar, Nithin. Type out the spelling correctly, then only you will be able to find me. Are there any questions? Doing white collar jobs is Shudra Varna job and retired life taken as Vanaprastha. Yes, in a sense, every work which is we are doing profession as a salaried employees, white collar, blue collar, all these are Shudra kind of jobs from purely definitional sense, not in any other sense. Even all creative activities, for example. And Vanaprastha, retired life, in a sense, yes. But you know, see, real Vanaprastha rarely exists in Kali Yuga, because it is not just retirement. Now, retirement means you are retiring from your professional life. You are not retiring from your worries. You are not retiring from your attachments to your children, grandchildren, through to a number of things. You are still as much invested in your daily life, in your desires, in your worries as you were when you grihastha. So in Kali Yuga, most of us are grihasthas till the last moment, till the last breath. So true Vanaprastha will be when we are able to withdraw ourselves, let our children, grown-up children, be on their way, let them live their own life, don't participate in their worries. You withdraw yourself, focus on sadhana, focus on Bhagavan. That would be some form of Vanaprastha. Valmiki, Vishwamitra, like some other rishis have changed their Varna Dharma, though they have born, okay. See, is this a violation of Dharma? See, change of Varna is not a violation, because the purpose of Dharma Upadesha is that slowly you work out. And this change cannot happen in a single life. You slowly work through many, many lives, then that Varna keeps changing, you keep taking birth in a higher Varna from a ritualistic perspective. Or you could take a lower Varna also because of your actions if you committed adharma and all. See, come to this Vishwamitra, you see Vishwamitra's story is very, very interesting. When before his birth itself, his mother and Parashurama's mother, you know, they were mother-daughter. Parashurama's mother was the mother of Vishwamitra's mother. They both became pregnant. They both wanted to conceive the children, and I think they both became pregnant together. Now this Parashurama's father, a Brahmana, he made two ritualistic charu. Charu is a yagya preparation. He made two preparations, one for his wife and one for his daughter. The one for his wife was supposed to help in giving birth to a Brahmana child, and one for his daughter was supposed to help give birth to a Kshatriya child, because the daughter was married to a Kshatriya. Now, what happened was the mother asked the daughter to exchange the charu. Or what is it? Was the reverse, I think. I am telling it in a wrong way. The Parashurama's mother was the daughter, and Vishwamitra's mother was the Vishwamitra's mother was the mother of Parashurama's mother. I got it reverse, sorry. So he gives the Parashurama's father, he gives his wife one charu, which is for a Brahmana, because he was a Brahmana,
And he gives his mother-in-law another charu because she was a Kshatriya. Now this mother exchanges the charu with the daughter. So what happens? Parshurama was born to a Brahmana, but Parshurama, though Brahmana, he also had Kshatriya qualities. So he had both swabhavas in him. Similarly, Vishwamitra, though born a Kshatriya, he already had Brahmanatva hidden inside him. The potentiality, the swabhava, the Brahmana Varna swabhava essence was already inside him. He only needed to undergo a lot of austerity to remove his Kshatriya swabhava and allow the Brahmana swabhava already in him to shine forth. And he did that over millions of years of tapasya. It did not happen one day or today. Today I am Brahmana, today I am Kshatriya. It does not happen like that. That is the curious case of Vishwamitra. On the other hand, we have examples of many rishis through their tapasya bala, blessings a Kshatriya to become a Brahmana overnight. That is also. So that is why I said Varna is a reference to ritual state. Brahmanya is a reference to the presence of a devata inside, and same to Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra also. There is a presence of a particular essence of a devata inside. So it's a ritual state. And again, this is a complicated topic. It will need 1 more hour for me to explain. So I'll share the link with Babuji after the sessions. Interested can go through the talk on that. The next question is, when Manusmriti is so clear, how come bashing is still happening most times from ignorant people fueled by intellectual? Why is there no open debate? See, there is no open debate because Dharma Shastra nobody wants today. See, Dharma Shastric ideal is the ideal people want today is something different. We have been trained to look at enlightenment values from the West in the name of equality, fraternity, liberalism. All these are the modern day freedom. All these are modern day ideals of life. We want equality. We want everybody to go to temples such as Sabrimala. We want everybody to do everything, no restrictions, no restraints. But Dharma is all about restraints. Dharma is about Indriya Nigraha. Dharma is not about Swatantrata. Dharma is not about doing what do you want just like that without thinking about consequences. Dharma is about voluntarily subjecting yourself to the mandates of the Shastra to attain a greater goal in the form of Swarga and Moksha. That is what Dharma is. So this dharmic goal, we have been, because of colonial education, as a society, we have been, from the very young age, we have been trained to think Dharma Shastra and Dharma, dharmic goals, dharmic worldview as inferior, as something of belonging to an older age, something no longer relevant. And we as some evolved beings, we of modern people, modern day people, have left behind all those religious superstition, religious orthodoxy behind. We are the people of 21st century age. We are free people, free thinking people. See, these are all the terminologies used. Look at it, all positive terminologies, but all the dharmic Shastriya knowledge are called as patriarchy, orthodox, and all those things. So we have to go out of this mindset to understand what Dharma is truly. And that will take, it is happening slowly, but it will take a lot of time. And Manusmriti has especially been, bad-mouthed, abused. It has been put as a cause for all kinds of injustice in the society. So that kind of narrative has to be countered. It will take time. It is not easy. It will take time, lot of decades. Hopefully in coming years, things will be improved. Another question is, contextually, why didn't Hindus fight and defend animal sacrifice? What is so bad about offering life as Naivedya or Bali? If it is so much a part of Abrahamic faith, why wasn't non-vegetarianism itself banned? See, the Hindu society has gone through this lot of mental colonialism. Our traditional education systems, institutions were broken down, and a certain narrative was continuously put into our heads. Because the Christian colonials, they were not comfortable with many areas of our society and our practice, they created a lot of negative propaganda against it. So in response to that, our colonial Hindu society came up with a response wherein we wanted to reform Hindu society. So we let go of all the things the missionaries, the white man said is problematic in ritual, and we tried to create a version of Hinduism which is in the image of the Abrahamics. That is what the Arya Samaj did, that is what the Brahma Samaj did, that is what the Hindutva people today are doing, right? So we have to get out of that reformist mindset, only then something can be done. Okay, I'm just seeing if there are any relevant questions. If one believes in Ishvara but not following rituals aspect of Shastra, is a member of Sanatana. See, we have so many nominal Hindus like that. Nominal because they only names it. They say that I believe in this Bhagavan, I believe they have some abstract Abrahamic kind of notion of Bhagavan, I think, or they have merely a nominal allegiance or affinity to Devata. They may visit temple or once a year, perhaps, again in a nominal format. But if you truly have Shraddha and Bhakti towards Bhagavan, is it possible to stay away from ritualistic aspect of a religion? Because what is this ritual ultimately? It is Devata Upasana. You are doing Upasana to Bhagavan because you want to get close to that Bhagavan. You want to get close to that Devata you are worshipping. If you love Devata, won't you want to get close to that Devata? So this notion that there can be spirituality without religion, I am spiritual but not religious. This is a modern day funda. That is simply impossible. You cannot be spiritual without being religious. You cannot be spiritual, you cannot pursue Adhyatma without anchoring yourself to Dharma and Bhakti. That is not possible. You are just diluting yourself. Can our Peethadipatis change some Dharma Sutras regarding observing 11 days away from others for long distant relatives? They cannot, I am sorry, because Dharma Shastras, if you understood anything from this 3-day session, please go back and revisit the videos. Dharma Shastras is not about convenience. I and you cannot simply change it, boss. What is Dharma? I said it is something adrishta. Something which gives rise to punya and papa, karmic merit, karmic demerit. How can if somebody say they will change Dharma Sutra, some book or text, will it change the fact which is on the ground that certain karma gives rise to certain karma phala? No. What is this obsession with having the changing the text, rewriting the text? That is something which is completely meaningless. The purpose of the text, Shastra, is to reveal what exists, reveal the knowledge about things that we cannot directly see from our eyes or hear from our ears. Reveal adrishta, right? It is revealing karma phala which already exists. Whether you are able to practice it or not is a different thing. If you are able to practice it, good for you. If you are not able to practice it, there will be some dosha that will incur. But you cannot change it from happening. Just by rewriting a book, you are not changing the phenomenon, right? Of course, Dharma can be contextualized to time and space, fine. But you cannot change the essential teachings of Dharma simply by editing a book. that editing notion of editing a book itself is a slippery slope. Tomorrow you will ask another, by you, I don't mean you as a person, I'm speaking in general. People will ask, because everybody wants convenience, then they will say, let us reject, they're already saying, let us reject all these Dharma Shastras. We have Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is our Bible, they say. What, how nonsense is this? Because Gita itself says, on the matters of Dharma, Adharma, please consult Shastras. Which Shastras? It has to be Dharma Shastras, right? On matters of Dharma, you cannot consult Kama Shastra or Artha Shastra, right? I think that is all. There are no more questions.
Yeah, actually, the first question we left out, it is just a saying that, in case of some emergency like Mana Bhangam, you know what is Mana Bhangam, and we can tell lies also. Is it correct?
See, there is Apad Dharma. When your life is at stake, survival is the greatest Dharma. Then you can do all those adharmas. There will still be some papam incurred, but at that time, your survival is the greater Dharma for you. I gave the example of Durvasa, some from Mahabharata, eating dog when there was a drought, right? Just 2 days in the first session, I think. So that applies here. There is Apad Dharma. When there is Apad condition, like Kali Yuga is a Apad condition, right? Kali Yuga itself, definition is Apad condition. You cannot strictly follow all that the Dharma Shastras say in 100%. You'll be able to hardly follow 20-30%, at best 50-60% if you try hard. Most of us will be able to follow only 10 or 15%. Let us do that, because even following little will give great punyam. Because nature of the times is such that there are hundreds of obstacles which prevents us from practicing Dharma 100%. I don't have a website, but I will share links to my articles in general. I will today or tomorrow, I will put up all the links, all the materials, the PPTs and other links. Some will be useful and all will be useful actually, but some will be directly related to this course. Some will be of general nature. I will share everything, and they will be able to, Prabhuji or Babuji will be able to, share them with all the participants.
Okay, I think it is a very good session today, but lack of time, you are, I think, hurrying up, I feel.
We are already 30 minutes late.
But do you want one more session? I can arrange for it.
No, I think it's enough for now. We'll anyways, coming back to Mahabharata, where I'll continue this discussion, but I'll focus on Mahabharata, but the discussion will be same as this Dharma Shastra. Mahabharata is also Dharma Shastra. So we'll continue the discussion then.
I agree with you, and I think we will have that. We'll have more time there. Thank you very much for these 3 sessions. On behalf of all the participants, Veda Samskruti Samiti and the management and all organizers, I thank you for these 3 sessions, and very informative, very enlightening, and very clear, very direct, and no mixing of words. Thank you very much. Okay, now we will go ahead.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, go ahead with
Thank you, Sridharji. I am Prabhakar here.
Okay.
President of this VSS. Thank you very much, Sridharji. I have heard all your lectures. Last 2 days, I could not attend the lecture because of other class, Sanskrit class I had. This class I attended. It's a very excellent lecture and excellent explanation you have given for all the questions. It matches with my thinking. Dhanyavadaha. I really appreciate your. We want more and more association with you. Kindly support us, our Veda Samskruti Samiti. We have got same type of mindset on these aspects of Dharma.
Definitely, definitely.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Can we now go for Prarthana?
Sure.
Yeah. Ananthanji.
ॐ स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्ताम् न्याय्येन मार्गेण महिमहीषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितः ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः अपुत्राः पुत्रिणः सन्तु पुत्रिणः सन्तु पौत्रिणः अदनाः सदनाः सन्तु जीवन्तु शरदां शतम् सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतङ्गमय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ
ధన్యవాదములండి అనంతన్ గారు. Now let us recite Janaganamana. All of you please stand up and sing along with me. Janaganamana Adhinayaka Jaya He
పంజాబ సింధు గుజరాత మరాఠ ద్రావిడ ఉత్కళ వంగ వింధ్య హిమాచల యమునా గంగా ఉజ్వల జలధి తరంగా తవ శుభ నామే జాగే తవ శుభాశిష మాగే గాహే తవ జయ గాథా जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे जय हिंद जय हिंद जय श्री राम जय श्री राम।